Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. We are here again. What day? Anybody know? Anybody know? Day 25, guys. We are on day 25. Okay. So, yes, this is not my hat. I did not serve on the USS America, but this was the only hat I could find this morning. So, um, I know somebody that might be watching this that is going to definitely say, "Why do you have my hat on?" So I'm just saying ahead of time. I couldn't find another one. All right. How is everybody doing today? I was thinking before I hopped on the live, sometimes I think we might have already talked about this a little bit. Maybe we touched on it on some of the days, but this is what I know. This is what I know is when we start to work on sort of these areas of our life, we can't wait till there's no wind or waves to start because that never was going to happen. Okay, so we start and then snowballs. We get snowballed in an area, right? And the first thing to enter my mind is, what does this matter? In the midst of this situation, okay, I got to get some better lighting or else not wear a cap. Compared to this situation, does this really matter? Like, does it matter that I'm reading 10 pages every day when this like explosion in life is happening in this area? And I can't tell you the why, but I can tell you that what I've experienced is, yeah, it matters even then. And everybody I have read, every success book I've read, every person that I follow that has sort of, they're a few steps ahead of me in this journey. The answer is the same across the board. Even on those days, you don't stop. John Maxwell, for those of you that, probably heard of him, I mean, he's written a gazillion books on, he was a pastor for years and then sort of transitioned into doing more success type training with businesses and churches and things like that. Written a ton of books, but this is what he said. I think he calls it the power of 5. So the idea is that when you are on this journey and you've decided, now he picked 5 things, right? So again, whatever that is for you, I don't know. When you pick those things, that they are non-negotiable. So whatever habits that you decided, maybe at the beginning of this challenge, maybe at the beginning of this year, maybe on your birthday, like I don't know what your year is represents, but when you decide what those goals are and then you've reverse engineered them to what does that look like daily? Because those big goals, on the vision board or in a book or whatever, they are not going to magically just be done, on December 31st. Okay. So you've reverse engineered this. You've decided what this looks like daily. Maybe it means, like I said, 10 pages of reading to expand your world a bit. Maybe it means daily Bible reading. Maybe that, and daily, not when you feel like it, but daily. Maybe that means doing some form of movement every day. Whatever that is, what he says, so he calls it the power of 5. So when he went through this realization, his 5 things, I can't remember them all, but one was he was going to read every day, something every day. He was going to write every day because he wanted to keep those creative juices flowing in that arena. Read every day, write every day. There was 5. I can't remember them now. Okay. So he was teaching in this conference or whatever. And he said, you might say to me, oh, but John, today's Christmas, like you've got family, your house is full of kids and grandkids and everybody's bustling with excitement. Surely on that day, and he said, no, even that day, And he talked about like even saying, excuse me, just for a few minutes and going and doing whatever those 5 things were. I know it's the only one I can find. He said, you might say to me, oh, but it's your birthday today, John. Like, surely you could miss a day, right? Because it's your birthday, right? He said, no, on my birthday, I read, I write, whatever his 5 things were. And every day, didn't matter. So what I've discovered for me after I read that, it hit me because I realized what a distraction. See, we do have an enemy. We do. We know as Christians, right? We have an enemy who would like nothing more if we would stop, if we would quit, if we would just stay in circling all the time, kind of in that landing pattern, right? Like a plane does. He would love if we would just stay there. He doesn't want us to land with anything, right? And so when I heard John Maxwell share that, I started looking at my own life and I realized the pattern of every time I would make decisions of what was important, what I'm going to do, what are the changes, something would blow up and always stop me because the blow up always looks way more important than those everyday mundane things. And they are mundane, right? You know, we can get excited if we're sitting in a service and somebody inspires us to, you know, pray and do all these things because we hear the results that it produced in their life. So we get all excited, but it's not exciting. It's not. Day 1, you're motivated. Day 2, maybe you're still motivated. Day 3, it's cold outside. You don't feel like, you know, walking. You don't feel, and there's nowhere else to go, right? Or whatever the case may be. There's always going to be distractions. So I want to encourage you today, without taking too much more time, I want to encourage you today that on those days, take a look at your commitment device, right? Now, again, if you've decided you want a different commitment device than what I use and have found, that is fine. This is what works for me. And those of you that, wanted it, I've emailed it to you. And again, it don't hurt my feelings if you say, hey, that didn't work for me, but find something that does. Find something that does, because that is what's going to help you realize where you're getting distracted, right? If you're getting distracted, how many days that it's taking you to pivot. Because what I always teach, whether it's in the nutrition field or wherever, is we have to learn to pivot quickly. Pivot quickly. We're all going to fall off the wagon, right? At some point on some day, we are, but we have to be quicker at pivoting. So let's say you feel convicted about walking every day, adding activity to your life. Okay. You should have decided ahead of time, you predetermined that this is important, right? You've decided this matters. So if it matters that you do it every day, then it has to matter even on the days you don't feel like it. Even on the days when, God dang it, it just doesn't make it to the top of the priority list, because there's like waves, like you're drowning, right? Hey, morning, Nancy. So even on those days, guys, and I'm talking to myself, believe me, I have walked this, still walking it. And you know what? We're going to continue. I believe we're going to get better. We're going to become more skillful. That's my prayer and dream, that we become more skillful in these arenas. Those of us that have been around a while, right? We cannot stay sort of at that baby stage. We need to be more skillful in these areas and not let our lives be a playground for the enemy. No more. So if you make a decision, again, whatever that habit is, that you're going to be more active, that you're committed to reading, your Bible, reading something, listening to a faith-building message, whatever it is, that you are going to do that. So here's another thing. Okay, so if you decide I'm going to pick this because this happened to me just recently. So with the reading thing, you could say, I am reading 10 pages a day. You could say, I'm reading 2 minutes, whatever it is. Like for me, with the reading, I finally put it at 20 minutes. Okay, that was my thing. So on the days where it's like it kept going to the bottom of the list of things to do, here's the thing. Instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and you know you're not going to get 20 minutes in, and so you can grab that book and read a page. I don't care. If you say, well, I can't walk, for an hour, I don't care if you do laps around your house. If you decided and you've predetermined that walking matters, that doing a push-up matters, whatever it is, right? Do something, do half a push. I don't care what it is. Do something so at least you don't stop that flow. Because again, once that break has been made, no guilt, but it's harder, right? If you've worked yourself up to bench pressing 100 pounds, let's say, for over whatever amount of time, and then all of a sudden you've had 2 weeks of not doing nothing, a month of not doing nothing, you're not coming back to the 100 pounds, right? You have to go back, right? So if we're always starting and stopping, way harder. So what I encourage myself, and I'm going to encourage you, is just do something, right? If you say, I'm going to pray an hour a day, and you realize an hour is not happening, I don't care if you pray a minute, just pray. Do whatever that habit is for something, so that that the enemy can't just get in and totally get our boat off course. I think it was in this challenge, or maybe it's the book I was reading. There is, they know this, like this isn't just an idea out there. If a plane traveling from, was it Atlanta? I think it was Atlanta, on course to Washington, D.C., okay? If that plane right from the get-go, when it gets off the ground, is off, even by like, I forget, it's like small amount, over the distance, it'll end up somewhere completely different, right? Because that distance keeps getting bigger and bigger, right? So with our things that we've already decided we predetermined this matters, if we're quicker to course direct as we're going, then it's not so big of a get back on track later, right? So again, whatever it is, I just encourage you, even if the waves are crashing, just feel like you're like all over the map, just take a deep breath, look at those commitment devices and see, hey, what can I do today? Get it done maybe early in the morning, done, out of the way, goodbye, and then continue on, with whatever you've got to face. But we can't quit. We cannot quit, because if we do, our enemy, believe me, he'll know, I'll just keep sending things because I know it'll stop them. They will never continue on, because every time I send something, a new wave, they get distracted, and that's what he loves. So anyway, okay, that's enough of that. But it all matters, right? It all ties in. Okay, good morning, everybody. Hey, Vance, I think, I see you there. All right, welcome, everybody. And a special welcome to our replayers, those that have been. Good morning, Ellie. Good to see you. Look at that. We've got like a sort of a new life. What is that called? Oh my gosh. Okay. I hope this isn't a day with words. It'll come to me as I start reading. Reunion. That's the word. Okay. All right. We are on habit 6. We are already on habit 6. We're on the final few days, you guys. So let's just quickly talk about the habits we've did. Our first habit was flip the script. Our second one was kiss the wave. Our third one was eat the frog, fly the kite, cut the rope, and now we're starting on a habit called wind the clock. Okay, so this is habit number 6. Time is measured in minutes. Life is measured in moments. When Dr. Tony Campolo was a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, he turned an ordinary lecture into an unforgettable lesson. He asked a student sitting on the front row, "Young man, how long have you lived?" The unsuspecting student answered his age. No, said Dr. Campolo. That's how long your heart has been pumping blood. That's not how long you have lived. That's when Dr. Campolo told the class a story about one of the most memorable moments of his life. In 1944, his 4th grade class took a field trip to the top of the Empire State Building, the tallest building in the world at the time. When he got off the elevator and stepped out onto the observation deck overlooking New York City, time stood still. If I live 1,000,000 years, said Dr. Campolo, that moment will still be part of my consciousness because I was fully alive when I lived it. Dr. Campolo turned back to the student and said, "Now let me ask you the question again. How long have you lived?" "When you say it that way," the student said, "maybe an hour, maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes." So let me ask you 2 questions. 1, how old are you? 2, how long have you lived? It's easy calculating age. Quantifying life is much more difficult. Why? Because time is measured in minutes, while life is measured in moments. When was the last time that time stood still? Some of those moments are as unplanned as a joke that makes your beverage shoot out your nose. Others can be as planned as our predecisions. Either way, we've got to recognize those moments and steward them. How? By making the most of them. Habit formation happens in real time, but it's heavily influenced by the past and the future. We've been conditioned by past tense cues. We're driven by future tense rewards. Winding the clock is remembering the past and remembering the future. It's managing the minutes and the moments. Megan Cox is a NASA engineer who lives on Earth, but she works on Mars time. Cox served as the deputy team chief of the engineering team that has landed 3 land rovers on Mars. The most recent rover was named Perseverance by 7th grader Alexander Mather. That's precisely what it takes to innovate the technology necessary to fly a rover 140 million miles to Mars. A Mars day is called a sol, and it's almost 40 minutes longer than an Earth day. So Cox and her team have to adjust their body clocks 40 minutes every day. How? They start work 40 minutes later every day. Eventually, the middle of a Mars day is the middle of an Earth night. Confused? That's why Cox and her team wear Mars watches. The weights have been mechanically adjusted to run slower. Those Mars watches keep them on Mars time. In a sense, we all wear 2 watches. The first is a Chronos watch, and it's the way we manage minutes. In the words of a popular Broadway musical, 525,600 minutes. You can hear it in your head, can't you? No, I don't know what song that is. Do you guys? I'm going to look that up after. All of us are allotted the same amount of time every day, 1,440 minutes. Time is the great equalizer. The other watch is a Kairos watch, and it's the way we get off the clock. It helps us recognize moments when we need to stop and smell the roses. One way to do that is by keeping the Sabbath. Of course, that's easier said than done. When it comes to Kairos, you don't find time, you make time. You have to be intentional about establishing priorities and boundaries. I won't serve on more than 3 boards simultaneously. Why? I know my tendency to spread myself too thin. If I try to be all things to all people, I won't be any good to anybody. And that includes myself. If you want every day to count, you have to count the days. The psalmist said, "Teach us to number our days." How do we do that? You can do it literally, and I'll unpack that on day 25. But I will offer one idea at the outset. My friend Reggie Joyner is the founder of a wonderful organization called Orange. They empower parents and kids to live their best lives. How? By making every day count. Reggie suggests using a jar filled with marbles to make the point. When your child is born, fill a jar with 936 marbles. Then remove a marble every week. And that's how many weeks are left until your child turns 18. It's a visual reminder that the clock is ticking. Our kids aren't under our roofs forever. And let's be honest, that's a good thing. But you've got to make every day count. The jar of marbles is a visual reminder that we're playing for keeps. Somehow find a creative way to make every day count. If you don't control your calendar will control you. When was the last time you did an audit of your time? If time is money, we owe it to ourselves to do an audit. In the very first sermon that I preached at National Community Church, I cited a sociological study of 50 people over the age of 95 that involved one question. If you had to live your life over again, what would you do differently? 3 answers emerged as a consensus. Number 1, they'd risk more. Number 2, they'd reflect more. Number 3, they do more things that would live on after they die. It's time to wind the clock. Okay, now we're getting on to our day. Day 25. Tip the cap. I hope I didn't mess up here. Hold on, guys. Okay, that was the habit. Yes, okay. Tip the cap. Our scripture verse is Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 8. Tie them as symbols on your hands. In 1931, America was in the depths of the Great Depression. A young entrepreneur named Conrad Hilton wasn't just staring foreclosure in the face. He was borrowing money from bellhops to make ends meet. People weren't traveling, and his hotel chain was suffering. That's when Hilton came across a photograph of the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. The icon of luxury, the 47-story Waldorf Astoria, ranked as the world's largest and tallest hotel from 1931 until 1963. It had 6 kitchens, 200 chefs, 500 waiters, and 2,200 rooms. Wow. It even had its own private hospital and railroad station. Okay, didn't know that. After clipping the photograph of the Waldorf Astoria, Hilton placed it under the glass top of his desk so that it stared him right in the face. It stared him in the face every day. I'm not sure who insured his hotels, but that photograph ensured that he never lost sight of his God-sized goal. Remember the habit cycle? It starts with a prompt, a trigger that flips a switch in your brain so it goes into automatic mode. The second step is a pattern, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, or relational. And the third step is the prize. The bigger the prize, the more sacrifices you're willing to make and the more risks you're willing to take. For Conrad Hilton, the Waldorf Astoria was the grand prize. Not only did he keep a photograph front and center, but he also tipped his cap every time he walked by or drove by. It was his way of remembering the future and reminding himself of the ultimate goal. In October 1949, having tipped his cap hundreds of times, the reward became reality when he purchased 249,024 shares of the Waldorf Corporation. Hilton finally crowned his collection of hotels with the Queen, as he called her. Remember John Heywood, the English playwright? He is famous for saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. That's one of many axioms that have stood the test of time. He also coined this one, out of sight, out of mind. And it's key when it comes to habit formation. The technical term is object permanence, and it's part of Piaget's theory of human development. Object permanence is understanding that things still exist even though they can't be seen. I think I know where he's going with this. Young children don't have this fully formed cognitive capacity until they're about 8 months old, which is why peekaboo is so much fun. Children eventually develop object permanence, but we never outgrow the tendency to forget that which isn't front and center. That's why we need to clip the photo and tip the cap. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is wonderful. While we're on the subject, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Actually, that math is a little off. The brain is able to process print on a page at a rate of 50 bits per second. The brain's ability to process pictures goes way beyond that. The brain can recognize an image in as little as 13 milliseconds, and it can process pictures at a much higher volume. Of course, that depends on size. According to one estimate, a wallet-sized photo is worth 324,000 words, while an 8x10 is worth 4.3 million. Either way, 1,000 words is a gross understatement. If you walked into SpaceX headquarters, you'd see 2 posters of Mars. One shows a cold, barren planet. The other looks a lot like Earth. The second poster represents Elon Musk's life purpose, colonizing Mars. I'd like to die on Mars, said Musk, just not on impact. If that's not shooting for the moon, I'm not sure what is. That poster is Elon Musk's way of tipping his cap to Mars. It's his jar of marbles. When Jim Carrey was a struggling actor, he had a routine that he repeated many nights. Not unlike Conrad Hilton tipping his cap, Jim Carrey would drive to the top of Mulholland Drive and look out over the city of LA. Everybody wants to work with me, he would say to himself. I'm a really good actor. I have all kinds of great movie offers. It was Carrey's way of flipping the script and winding the clock. I'd just repeat those things over and over, literally convincing myself that I had a couple movies lined up. I'd drive down the hill, ready to take on the world. Jim Carrey did one more thing, an epic example of imagining the prize. He wrote himself a check for $10 million. He scribbled for services rendered on the memo line, and he post-dated that check 5 years into the future. He kept that check in his wallet for many years. He would eventually get his $10 million payday, plus a few hundred million. He has starred in more than 40 films, which have grossed more than $2.5 billion at the box office. His net worth is estimated to be $180 million. At this juncture, let me offer a little reminder. What will it profit a man, Jesus said, if he gains the whole world, yet forfeits his soul? A $10 million payday isn't worth 1 red cent if you lose your soul in the process. Having said that, Aristotle said this: the soul never thinks without an image. Remember habit 1, flip the script? If you want to change your life, change your story. While you're at it, change the picture you're painting. Winding the clock is all about imagining the prize, and pictures are a powerful way of doing that. A single snapshot has the power to jog your memory and release a flash flood of emotions. It can also exercise your imagination by painting a picture of your preferred future. Either way, you've got to find a way to stay focused on your goals. When it comes to trust, David Horsiger wrote the books. He is the author of The Trust Edge and Trusted Leader. In the course of a recent conversation, he shared the backstory behind him losing 52 pounds in 5 months. Why 52 pounds? He wanted to get back to his high school weight, but there is more to it than that. Remember 3M? Our habits have to be measurable, meaningful, and maintainable. 3M. Getting back to his high school weight made his goal meaningful, but the real inspiration was his parents. When his mom and dad celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary, they fit into the same clothes they had worn on their wedding day. His mom still weighed 117 pounds, and his dad still weighed 150 pounds. Horsiger took a prompt from his parents, and it helped him lose 52 pounds by projecting himself into the future. One way to make or break a habit is by taking cues from others. Do you know why I get up early in the morning? I credit my father-in-law, Bob Schmidgall. He had an early morning prayer habit that I wanted to emulate. I was also inspired by one paragraph in a biography about D.L. Moody. Moody felt a twinge of guilt if he heard the blacksmith's hammering before he was up studying the Bible. My goal? On work days, I try to get up before the sun is up. So whose habits are you hacking? As a Christ follower, I pattern my life after the person of Jesus Christ. I hack his habits to change mine. I take my cues from his life, death, and resurrection. When I have a hard time forgiving people, I think of what Jesus said about those who nailed him to the cross. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. If Jesus can forgive those who nailed him to the cross, I can forgive those who have wronged me or said wrong things about me. The way you tip the cap to Jesus is by being unoffendable. You forgive 70 times 7. You see other people for who they really are, the image of Almighty God, and treat them accordingly. One way we wind the clock is by redeeming the time. Remember Saint Benedict and his rule of life? Along with the 73 rules that he created, Saint Benedict divided the day into 8 prayer periods called the daily office. You don't need to check into a monastery to put this idea into practice, and it doesn't have to be 8. My recommendation: establish a prayer routine in the morning or the evening or both. There is no better way to tip the cap to God and to God-sized goals than a regular prayer rhythm. If it helps, employ a few simple rules. Hit your knees when you get out of bed in the morning or go to bed at night. Turn your phone off and your day off. Read your Bible before you check your phone. These are just little prompts, right? Any of these prompts can interrupt the pattern and keep you focused on the prize. So how do I make all of this a habit? Posterize your priorities. Posterize. When it comes to habit formation, we need visible reminders. It can be a photograph of the Waldorf Astoria, a poster of Mars, or marbles in a jar. When our daughter Summer was a teenager, we created a poster with 9 adjectives that were descriptive and prescriptive. Those 9 adjectives were who we believe Summer to be, present tense and future tense. For the Israelites, it was symbols that they wore on their hands and their foreheads. God also told them to posterize their homes with ritual reminders called mezuzahs. Mezuzahs? I don't know if I'm saying that right. The Shema was an ancient prayer that the Israelites recited twice daily. It begins like this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. The Shema functioned as a prompt, the first words spoken in the morning and the last words spoken at night. It was a reaffirmation of God's rule. It was the way an observant Jew received the kingdom of heaven on the daily. The opening cue is followed by a command to love God with all of one's heart, soul, and strength. The original context of the Shema also imagines the prize. God promised the Israelites houses that they didn't build, wells that they didn't dig, and vineyards that they didn't plant. Between the prompt and the prize, God gave them explicit instructions related to their daily routines. Again, habit stacking and habit switching are nothing new. They are as old as the Shema. In August 1996, I did a 4.7-mile prayer walk around Capitol Hill. It proved to be a day when decades happen. 25 years later, we own half a dozen properties worth $75 million right on that prayer circle. I had that prayer walk posterized, and it sits outside my office. Why? As a sacred reminder of that prayer prompting. It's the same reason I have hanging in my office a picture of the cow pasture where I felt called to ministry. You need to posterize your priorities, posterize your goals, and posterize your values. You can do it on a shirt. You can do it on a wall. You can do it on a bathroom mirror or your computer screen. Somehow you've got to keep those things front and center. Tip the cap. Okay, you guys, I love this day. I don't want to keep going too long, but those of you that know me, I teach on this. This is one of the areas I teach on vision boards, why having a vision is important, and not just up here. It has to be, number one, written down, and pictures. I can't show you today, but maybe tomorrow I'll just kind of show you. I have a vision board. And pictures, super important. Keeping that vision before you. We put pictures in our house all the time of past events, right? With our kids or family, right? And all of that, nothing wrong with that. But we need to have pictures in front of us, like that guy, Hilton, with the Waldorf Hotel, right? He had that picture underneath the glass on his desk. He kept it before him. Elon Musk apparently is doing it with the poster of Mars. So I like the word posterize. Yeah, it's not posterize, I don't think. Posterize. Well, that's what I'm going to say. We need to posterize what we're believing for. So I don't know what it is for you, but I want you, this is your homework for today. I want you to find a picture of something that represents that. I want you to find a picture of something that to you, maybe to nobody else when they see that picture will know, but when you see that picture, it means something. It means that's what I'm believing for. And it inspires you to pray, to keep believing for it, to not let go of that vision, right? That no matter what wind and waves come, you are holding on to that vision. Okay, so that's your homework for today. And I'm actually with a couple people live in person, not live, in person. We have been talking lots about vision boards, and I don't know how to do that online, how to teach it online, but anyway, it's an amazing teaching and it works, and it's from the Bible. So anyway, I encourage you today, posterize something. Start with one goal, and then we can work up from there. All right. Thank you guys for joining me on day 25. We'll end up having an extra day because I kind of messed up. So I'm saying the day, but at this point it's getting kind of fuzzy exactly what day we'll end on, because we're going to actually finish the book. So thank you for joining us today. Again, love you, my replayers that are watching this on the replay. I think I'm a little bit behind on the website, so I know most of you have been just catching it on Facebook, and that's totally fine. Just remember that all of the lives on Facebook disappear after 30 days. So we're on day 25. So in just a few days, like day 1 is gone. Right? So if you haven't been watching this the whole time and you're thinking, oh, wow, this was really good, I need to go back to day 1. The only place you'll be able to find it is the website. So that, just keep that in mind. But up until then, you should be able to find them on Facebook. They're a little bit trickier because they're not like nice and in order because there's other posts in there. But anyway, yeah, today was good. I'm telling you though, what day really wrung me out was a few days back called Pick a Fight. Wow, that day was, yeah. You know, and it's funny, whenever we do these challenges, and we did the prayer challenge like this, and we've did it like over, and I don't even know, 8 times, maybe like 5. I think we've did it online, and then I've did it like extra myself. And you do it and you think, ugh, some days are like, and then the next day's like, I haven't even read this before, but you know, you have, because it's just, so if that's, you know, if this is your first time with this, which it's my first time, so it's probably yours too, there are going to be some days that are going to be like nothing. And then the next day is going to be like, wow. So I always encourage people, take notes, or if you want, you can get the book yourself, right? Do it for a day. Amazon, I think I got mine off Walmart. You can get, and mine's used. Mine's a used copy from Walmart. So, and it was like, I think $4.90 something. I got it super, super cheap. So I encourage you to get it, because if you're like me, you like to mark it and write in it and do all the things. But if you don't have the book, take notes, because I'm telling you guys, there are just nuggets in here that are totally transformational. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a super great day. Sorry, today was a little longer. I'm looking at the time. Wow, I think this is the longest day I did. But we had a little bit extra because we started a new habit. So blessings to you guys. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 26. Bye.